Okay, folks, welcome back. So we just got done with the hearse. The cursed hearse? No, that would be a different vehicle. What the hell is it called? Full frontal funeral. Full frontal funeral. Just got done with that. And we're going to work on one of these. I've been brainstorming what the hell this vehicle's going to be, and I'm going to punt on that. I don't know what it's going to be. Or really, what kind of skills it's going to have. Kind of brainstormed about that a little bit and got nowhere. So instead of cogitating on that, just move on to the next thing. Path of least resistance. For sure. And that's going to be this guy right here. Now, this is an Impala. 64? 64 Chevy Impala. It's got a big engine. It's got big engine and the pipes coming through there. We've already clear coated this in and given it a brown wash. Not that you can tell. Actually, I don't know if I've given this thing a brown wash. I'm not going to bother though. I mean, the damn thing's brown. You're not going to be able to tell the difference with it. And first things first is come up with a name with it. We're going to give it a temporary name, and we're going to call it brown. We're going to call it Brown Burnout for now. But I'm going to check with the, and if that kind of a name, I mean, I like the burnout part. It even has like wavy graphics and things like that look like it, is even more of a speed demon than it possibly is. So it's probably going to have like hot start or nitro, or probably not both. Hell for, what's it called? Hell for metal? Hell for leather. Hell for leather and hot start. Hot start's really cheap. It only costs $1, I think. And Hell for leather costs $5. So it's like 6 points on it. It's going to be a car base, so that'd get us to 18 points in no time. What's up, Derek? Did you watch any of the unboxings? Because there's one thing that I got that's specifically for you. Well, it's not for you, but it's to pique your interest, if applicable. So I'm going to go to chat, and I'm going to ask it. I'm going to use my group of advisors. They haven't named very many things for me. Okay, how do we get the... A second here. It gets... Somehow it gets stuck here. I don't use the app or anything. It doesn't recognize me up here on the... There we go. Yeah, I don't want to just randomly ask it something. I like putting things under a category here. It's being difficult. I've roughly got 2 weeks. I'm laying out projects to work on through it. Did you watch the unboxing that I did from the store? You didn't see the unboxings, but I did catch your projects. Okay, so you didn't see this then. I'd gotten everything, and then I was at the cash register, and I saw this for $10. So this is going to be, well, it's not going to be you, but unfortunately it says Matchbox 2000 on the front of it, so we'll get rid of that. But this is one of those EC 2000s or whatever the hell you called them. It's probably going to be an ice cream truck or an ambulance. unit type. So, coming soon. I know it's not you. It's just, might pique your interest. I just don't want to put this out in the open. I got these. There's lots of people using our account. Well, we're all related, and I don't want to just throw it out there. Not that I'm going to do anything inappropriate. It's just I create a mess, LLV. Those are tricky. That's why I'm paying $10 for it. It's a finder's fee, Postal Service delivery truck, $19.99. Yep. Should put it on the British team because it's right-hand drive. All right. Give me a name for a 1964 Impala for Gaslands, and I'd like to have a name that's similar to Brown Burnout. The vehicle happens to be brown and has a huge engine on it. Now let's see if it captivated that. Yep. Let's see what it does. My group of advisors. I don't let it make decisions for me. It frequently is not that helpful. But it might say like one word, like, oh, let's add that and then do that. Brown blown out. No. Brown blower beast? No. Brown boost, brown backfire, brown boost bruiser, brown big block, brown brawler, burnout, brown. If you want something heavier in a huge engine supercharger, brown blue, big block, 64 Impala. Make sure it has burnout in the name. Brown bastard burnout. Well, we already have a yellow bastard, so no. Like I said, we're just temporarily calling it brown burnout. Because something like this looks like it's off to a fast start. It's not hard to drive on the wrong side of a car. It certainly keeps it easy to put stuff in mailboxes. Well, my mail person's a pain in the ass. They like to put things all the way in the back. And then I can't reach it from my car, but every mail person I've encountered in every house has been a pain in the ass. You don't drive a vehicle, so we're not talking about you. We're just going to go with brown burnout. Now, it's going to be a car. That's automatically going to be 12 points. 2 build slots. I feel like this one ought to have oil. I feel like this needs to have oil. I don't remember if oil uses a build slot. I don't think it does. Here we go. Running a little slow here. Well, hell, this is something it was open to. Outrun. At the start of this vehicle's attack step, all vehicles within short range of this vehicle and in a lower current gear than this vehicle gain a hazard token. That doesn't seem a good value, but I don't know that I've got other vehicles that have outrun. Let's give this one outrun. Okay? That's 2 points. What is the, let's go all the way back here to the back. Okay, what is the oil? Oil slick dropper. It's 2. Well, what if burnout in this one reflects having a flamethrower? That'd use up both of its build slots. I don't know. I don't have a lot of flame-throwing vehicles. I certainly don't have one that's fast. We won't put it on a turret. Flamethrower. That uses both build slots and it costs 4. All right, now we're at 16 plus 2 is 18 and 2 is 20. We're at 20 here. Flamethrower, of course, will be front mounted. And let's give him a shotgun. That leaves us with 3 points. And a magnum. So you have 2 crew weapons. One of them shoot a shotgun, one of them a magnum. That'll give it some range in 360 degrees. And an oil slick. And a flamethrower, front mounted. And it'll be different than any other vehicle that I have. Okay. I don't see any reason to not close this up, honestly. And we could put some mesh across that. Not really gonna change anything. I could just pull this off. And attach the mesh to it that way. Let's go ahead and do that. It should be a quick build. You know, I could spend hundreds of hours on this. Well, maybe not hundreds, but tens of hours. But like, why? That keeps me from building it. It's not that, you know, I don't have the patience for it. It's like, it just means we're going to have less cars. And I think I counted this morning. I think I'm at 95. So 5 more vehicles. And we'll do something. We'll do something special for 100 vehicles. It sounds like, man, 100 vehicles, that's not that many. Well, you try doing 100 vehicles. See how long it takes. I mean, it's not a race, but, you know, I'd like to get a lot of these vehicles done because they're cool. And I like how I'm doing it. I'm like, what am I doing after this? I don't have a fucking clue. Right? That's what keeps me going. All right, we got some things here that need to be painted black. It has some nice detail on it. It's just a shame that the paint department's like, no, we're not going to paint any of that. I know you guys molded on there, but we're not painting it. Okay, and one thing I forgot to prime was this bumper. Okay. And then over here, let's make sure what the back of this looks like. What's up, Warlord? Let's get to 1964 Impala rear. Which one of these looks like that? This one. Man, it looks like this is the body color of the car. I'm glad I looked. Oh, it depends on the car then. Okay, that's going to be like a light colored stripe. All right. Well, in that case, we're going to paint that black too. So we're going to paint over that. So this whole area here will be black. I mean, there's other colors to it, but okay. And of course the door handles, they'll have chrome on them. And let's look at the engine. 1964 Impala open hood. Images. Okay, it looks like this stuff is the color of the engine. All this stuff up here is not going to be. Okay, so we're going to come in and we're going to paint this black here. And it looks like the rest of this is the color of the body. Okay. And of course this is already, that's already painted. The interior is already painted. Painted black. Let's go ahead and put the mesh on this thing. This is kind of an exaggerated vehicle. And let's go ahead and find us a flamethrower too while we're at it. Okay, it's going to be a front-mounted flamethrower. I don't love this design on here, so I'm okay putting something over in the middle of it. I got lots of cool looking flamethrowers though. A lot of stuff missing out of here. What's the meaning of that? They pulled stuff out and put it in a different. Well, here's some of it. Okay. Hey, here's some flamethrowers. I'm gonna have to order some pieces parts soon. Like this El Camino, I can't finish it. Or that pickup truck, I need something that goes in the bed. What do we got here? Yeah, here we go. Alright, so here's a flamethrower. That's a flamethrower. That's a flamethrower. That's a flamethrower. That's a flamethrower, but it's the same as this one. And this is the male/female one. Okay. Here's another one. I got another one of these oil things. I'm going to leave that off. We'll just pretend it's inside there somewhere. Okay. So those are my choices. Maybe even that one too. Well, I don't know that. That looks like a flamethrower. No. Nope. Yeah, you can't put Rams and stuff on every vehicle. They need to be unique, and well, they don't have to be. I choose for them to be unique, and I choose for them having to play them a certain way. It's not like everything's good at long range. Oh, I did all that. And then didn't do the stuff I said it was gonna have. All right, let's punt here. Let's forget outrun. Okay, that's gonna save me 2. We need to do hot start. Okay, which is I believe it just has too many engines showing, and I have that. Man, I sidetracked myself. Have another drink of coffee. A hot start, I believe, is under speed. Yeah. 1 can. 1 point. Okay? It doesn't have to have nitro. I want it to have hell for leather. Hell, it's already a leather color. I believe hell for leather is 5. It is. All right, now what are we looking like? 12 and 4 is 16. 17, 18, 19, 24. So we're at 24 here. So they can have the Magnum, but not the shotgun. Okay. All right, back to the flamethrower. All right, this single one is kind of nice. I don't want to remove this design. I could. I don't want to. Okay, it's kind of flamey anyways. Got this big old thing. Got these little like pegs underneath it. Now, the other thing we got to remember is there's a huge engine here. So if you're going to put a flamethrower, it needs to shoot over the damn engine or be off to one side. I don't want to put it off to one side because as soon as I do that, it's not, the design isn't going to be in the center of it. I could put it over on one side like over here, like something like that. That would be all right. That would be okay. Likewise, you could do that with something like this. These don't look great, this would be all right, but we're going to be flaming the engine. So I think between all of these choices, I think I like this the best, and I think I want to put it back here on this side, on the passenger side. We can put it in a way we don't even cover over the door. Maybe. We could also put it, there's all kinds of shit you could do. Where is the other one? The flamethrower that goes the other way. You could put it off to one side like this. That's actually not bad. That's actually not bad at all. Because the ammo is vertically instead of... I was thinking of doing the female version of this one, so the canister would be over on this side. But honestly, I like this better. Fits in there nicely. It's out of the way. Take these little nubs off here. That's the one we're going to use. All right, let's get our mesh. We're going to use the big mesh since this is kind of overscale in some dimensions. Where's our big mesh at? Right here. So we're going to use that. Gonna put the crenulations on this side. Ooh, today's word is. Let me check on one thing. All right. Well, that means we're still going to do our session. Okay. Check to see if my man Cal Yarborough drove a 64 Impala. No, but it was a popular car. I think I have several of them. I have several Impalas. The Impalas that I happen to like, I've got for my Mexican lowriders. I don't know what year they are. I guess I should read the bottom. I really like this design. I want to say this is more like a 70. No. It doesn't say. It's called Lay-In Lowrider. Oh, this is the front that. Anyways, this is one of them right here. Got a big old chain gun. I forgot about that thing. Got that one. And this one right here. This is the Green Devil. And I have this one as well. Got one machine gun forward, one back. And I built a hatch here so that you could access the machine guns. Not important, but just something to brings them to life. This is like an awesome car for Gaslands. I really like the way they look. cars of that vintage just work really well. They're meaty. But this is like an earlier one, and it's kind of overscale too. It's kind of it's wider than it should be. It's wider than it should be. I don't know why this is a little stylized or something, but they decided to do it that way. It's from 2003, so it's earlier than those. So we're gonna put winders. We're gonna put this over the winders, and we'll have the glass. We'll leave the glass in place. Okay, so this one we want to cut, say from there to here. Let's get our little cutting mat. Provides a little bit more resistance. That name sounds familiar. Cal Yarborough. That last name, everybody misspelled that name. When he was in school. Okay, and then we're going to cut across the top. You know, I have trouble seeing this sometimes, but man, this material is awesome. Better than using like screen mesh that you get at like Home Depot or Lowe's or one of those like Florida room repair kits. Okay, and I'm going to take another one that's just like this one. We don't want to mirror image it because we want these whole pieces here towards the bottom. And this one's for the other side. So we'll have a little bit of wastage. Whatever, man. You know, very, very little. Okay, so we're going to cut. Here it is. We're going to cut that little bit off. Okay, and then on the other side, we're going to cut that off like that. All right, so let's go over to get our little one that says Glue Land. And normally I would just like smear this stuff on, but it seems like it works a lot better with small dots. Wasn't my idea. Saw somebody else do it. I tried it. Seems to work better. But if these weren't real cars, I don't think I'd be as interested in it. Your favorite sports figures are Cal, Bill Freehan, and Lee Airy Fitzgerald, all number 11. Well, I've heard of Cal Yarborough. I haven't heard of the other ones, but I assume that they're car people. I don't have any sports figures that I like. That's my dad's fault. My dad never into sports. I don't really have any heroes, which is good because that means that they can't let me down. Can't be like, man, I'm a big fan of so and so, and now he's smoking crack, so I guess I'll smoke crack too to be like him, you know? Cal Yarborough. He sounds like a funny car guy. Cal Yarborough, okay? American race car driver. Okay, the Bush car. Okay, I recognize that car. I don't know about wearing a cowboy hat, especially if you're not riding a horse. If you're wearing okay, Hardy's car, okay. He's from South Kakalaki, which is actually south of us, even though I'm in Florida. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. Oh, here it says Kale. Was it the same guy? Yeah. Okay, who's the next guy? Bill Freehand, okay? Bill Freehand. Baseball catcher. Well, kudos to you for being a fan of a catcher. I feel like those guys just don't, get any respect. And you never hear somebody liking a catcher. Okay. Played for the Tigers. Okay. And who's the third one? Lee Airy Fitzgerald. Is that your favorite favorite number? My favorite number is 5. I mean, it's like, I don't care who's, if Lee, is it Lee Larry? No? Lee Airy Fitzgerald. It's not coming up. No. Arizona Cardinal. Oh, maybe it's Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald Jr., okay. Oh, this guy's significantly younger than the other ones. Actually, he's also significantly more alive. All number 11. Okay. Well, 11's not a bad number, as far as numbers go. The only thing, I've known a lot of people, and still do, that are sports fans. And the only thing that I have on sports fans is, I don't like watching, well, I shouldn't say I don't like watching sports. I don't get emotional about it. I went to a baseball game last week and had a good time. Of course, we had great seats, so that never hurt. It was behind home plate, like, say 20 feet above home plate. Something like that. But the weather was good. I just don't get emotional like, yeah, kick his, like, it's, I don't know who the guy is or anything. I just don't understand that. But anyhow, I'm sure I'm the exception. But everybody that I know that's a sports fan, nobody ever wants to play sports video games. And I love football video games. Like, Madden and stuff like that. I love that. But then, it's like a battle, and I'm into battles. But anytime you get somebody, I've gotten somebody like that that's a sports guy, interested in it, they always want to do really unrealistic shit. Like, throw Hail Marys constantly one after the other, and that's like all they do. I'm like, come on, man, you got to mix it up a little bit. The only sports thing that we used to do, and this is a long time ago, this is probably like 1994. There was this video game that came on the computer. I forget what it was called, but it was a Formula One video game. And it was, so we would go watch the Formula One race. So we'd wake up at, super, super early to watch the Formula One race. Say it was, Monaco or whatever. And then we would come back in and we would race Monaco. We would do all the. I have heard of the Bananas play baseball. They actually came up. They're like the Harlem Globetrotters, right? But they just do stunt stuff, right? They don't necessarily just play. They don't play straight, right? Oh, do they play other banana-like teams? The Savannah Bananas, right? And I love driving games. I love playing driving games. I played one last night. Preferred with real cars. As opposed to, I like the courses on Formula One, but, all those cars are like, they're not real cars. Well, the hell am I? Okay, this goes here. Let's cut there. We played the hell out of Blades of Steel while in Panama. I'm not a hockey fan. We had a Sega Genesis Hockey League. Now, here's the problem. Okay? This is like 1991. Here's the problem. Find a bunch of people that all had a different team. I picked the Penguins because I like their logo. Sorry, logo's important, right? I wouldn't. There's no way I understand how somebody would like a team if they have a shitty logo. Okay? Derek, I know you're in Ohio. Why would you be a Browns fan? Nothing, as I'm painting a brown car. It's just they need a better logo, But anyhow, you'd probably tell me there's nobody in Ohio that's a Browns fan either. But anyhow. So I had the Penguins, and you'd get together with people. You'd have to go to their house and, turn in your scores and shit like that. And, these people this is like 1991, and there were already people that were like breaking the system. And they'd turn in their scores, like hockey game, right? And there'd be like, 57 to 54 or something like that. So they found some gimmick to get around and be unrealistic. But I don't mind the games if I have like an impact, like, the strategy and tactics, like that part's interesting. When I moved out, I had no cable, and the only local station we had was ABC. So on Mondays, I'd watch Monday Night Football. And it was like, in the early 90s, it was like fucking educational. Like, it was interesting. I just never got emotionally attached to like, oh man, I can't believe that so-and-so's didn't win. My day's ruined. I'm like, who gives a shit? You don't know any of those people. I don't understand that part. It's different if, you got people that or your son or your kids on that team. But other than that, I don't have that gene. But I do like it if it's a game because then the choices I make have an impact. Browns used to be the Brownies. Not a Browns fan, yeah. Mitch is a huge Packers fan. I would never be a Packers fan because my high school had those same two colors and I fucking hated those same two colors. Not a big fan of packing things either. Whatever that means. But I hate that green and that yellow. My daughter's school is green and yellow. But the green and yellow are different. It looks okay. It's USF St. Pete. They look okay. But man, that Packers green and yellow together, I think it's the green is just too like forest-like or something. I don't know. Forest like green. Mom always said as you need a better shade. But that's why I don't like watching sports. I didn't get it from my dad, and I don't get an emotional attachment to it because literally I'm just observing. So it's not like decisions I'm making affect whether they play better or not. If they did, might be worth considering. Okay, let's take half of this runoff. You were a Cincinnati Reds fan during the Big Red Machine. That would be the guy that got busted for gambling, right? Whatever his name was. Am I right? Wasn't he a Cincinnati Red? See, I don't know about sports, but I know about that. Whatever that guy's name was. They were champions when I was at the age to be a fan. I often listened to it on the radio. I used to work with people that would listen to the football game on radio, but then looked at the picture. And the problem I have with the radio, at least in that station, was it was very biased. And this was like back when there was biased news, because there's biased news all the time. Oh, you want news to be like this? Okay, watch this channel. Oh, you want them to be like this? Watch this channel. Back then, it wasn't so, we're talking like 1990. Wasn't so bad, or at least didn't seem like it was so bad. But man, the announcer is definitely, it's like an announcer for the home team, and you could definitely tell that he has a bias. And I didn't really like that. Pete Rose, that's right, Pete Rose. Yeah, Pete Rose. Did he get exonerated or something like that? Did he bet against his own team? Because that's, there's different levels of things you shouldn't do, right? Like you're the coach for a team, and like you're gambling in the sport you're coaching, that doesn't look good. And then if you're betting against the team you're coaching, no, that's not good. That's not good. that's how do you live with yourself? You got to go into politics to do shit like that. Yeah, you take handouts from other countries, and then that don't have your country's best interest. Yeah, that'd be the equivalent of that. Cardinals use Big Red. Oh, is there saying? Isn't that weird that the Cardinals are a baseball team, and they're also a football team, and they both used to be in St. Louis, but now only one of them's in St. Louis. Is their logo the same? And I like Cardinals. I like when I get them in the yard, but not exactly something that's mighty. You know. Chirp, chirp, motherfucker, And we'll do this one on the back. Let's make sure that it fits. It does. Okay. And the reason I don't want to glue it is when I go and paint this, I can kind of, I'm not going to say slop it on, but I don't have to be so inanely precise that just takes a lot longer, Pete was a catcher too. Cool. Yeah, we were sitting right behind the catcher at the game, and it's an important position. But I just don't feel like they get any, they don't get enough respect. When back in the early 80s, I don't think it was in the 70s, in the early 80s, somebody gave me one of those baseball games. You know those ones that are made by, I think they're made by Mattel. They're about this big, and it would come in, do the pitch, and you hit these little dots, bip, 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 and if you hit, and and tell you, if it was a single or a double or a home run or whatever. Early computer. I played the hell out of that thing. Arizona Cardinals just show the head of the cardinal bird. What's your least favorite logo? What is your least favorite? What is your least favorite logo? I won't even say baseball or football or basketball, whatever. Which logo is like? Why the fuck did they come up with that? There's got to be one, and you can look up like ones that are really obscure. Like, I didn't go to the University of Florida, but the town I live in is all University of Florida, right? Makes sense. We're here, right? It's not like somebody lives here and they want to be like the arch nemesis, driving around waiting for somebody to key your car. Again, it's stupid to damage somebody else's car just because for the enemy team, just for the enemy team. But I'll tell you what, about a month ago, I went to go meet my wife in Tallahassee, where FSU is, and I went to a Walmart and I was waiting on her, and the whole place was like covered in FSU stuff, and I felt uneasy. And I'm not even a fan of the Gators. Well, I don't, but I'm not. I don't get into the rivalry, but it just felt weird. I mean, I've lived in town since 1981. But your college was an ad. Artichoke. The old Browns logo, the brownie kind of sucked. Well, the new logos for the NFL, for instance, are a lot better. The Buccaneers now, you don't question, what he's doing on the side. Same thing with the Patriots. I think the Bucks guy and the Patriots guy, used to double date. They definitely improved those two logos. Artichoke. Yeah, that's not the worst, though. Artichoke. Because you could, if you stylize the artichoke in the correct way, it could look badass. Right? Artichoke school mascot. Artie the Fighting Artichoke. Hey, he's kind of cute. Yeah, I was about to say, he's kind of like that Buckeye guy. At least people know what the hell... at least people know what an artichoke is. Not like, what the fuck is a Buckeye? We got Buckeye fans at the office. And I asked one of them the other day, I'm like, what the fuck is a Buckeye? I mean, the Buckeye guy looks kind of cute, Brutus or whatever his name is, right? But it's like, he should just be something else, like a beaver, I don't know, something. Artichoke, there's much worse things than artichoke. Much worse things. Worst school mascots. Oh, not in high school. High school would be super weird. Look at this fruitcake. I don't know what the hell this is. What the fuck is this guy? Speedy the Geoduck, Evergreen State College. What the hell? Oh, there's people gripe about a pickle, but you know what? You could have fun with the pickle. So I've heard. Honestly, it looks more like a jalapeno. A small and worthless nut. Oh yeah, this fucking tree. This one comes up a lot. The Stanford tree. Lame. And they have different kind of trees. For instance, there's a tree there that has blackface on it. It sure looks like it. He's kind of cool. But, not exactly like, what are you going to do? Like, grow on my foot or something? There was this elementary school that sprung up here. They created another elementary school. My daughter didn't go to it, but some of her friends did. And they always gave that school shit because of their mascot. Not that the elementary school plays any sports or anything, but it was the manatee. And you could say whatever you want about a manatee. At least it's a cute animal, or it can be. Not exactly like a fighting bastard or something like that. But fighting bastard of a manatee. But the kids were always like, "That's such a stupid low." I mean, like, okay, well, it could be better. It could be a. I think Mitch's school was a pretzel. You could do worse than a pretzel. Your college logo was an Apache, but what would you expect from Chosice College? Was it an Apache, and did the Apaches get offended by that? One of the best logos ever, in my opinion. And now I'm like drawing a blank who it is. The Cleveland Indians. That little chief guy, whoever drew him, that guy's cute as hell. And I don't mean that in an inappropriate way. I mean, that's a cute logo. The one they're not allowed to use anymore? Chief Wapunka or whatever his name is. I don't know. That's a cute logo. Whoever came up with that, wizard. Your college was a Mormon school at one time. They picked artichoke to discourage people from joining the team. Make it the coffee bean. If it's a Mormon school. Is that true, or is that just like hearsay that they don't drink caffeine? Because I get it. You don't drink alcohol, right? Like, I drink alcohol. It's part of my culture. I mean, I could live without it, but it's kind of cool. It's just part of our heritage. No, I'm not Irish. But caffeine, I ain't giving up caffeine. I am not giving up caffeine. I'm a caffeine whore. Proud of it. But that's it. I mean, only drugs I do are that and, ibuprofen. Well, how soon before they have like a, marijuana plant or something like that as a logo? Sure, they're going to do that. Yeah, I don't know what Coach Ice is. Am I supposed to? You're done with World War II stuff, going to build a goblin and snotling army next. Snotling is just a great name to say. isn't it? Guy's got the case of the snotlings. Maybe it has to do with the person's personality, because there's people that are like, they can't wait to meet somebody famous, or like maybe meet people in a band, or like want to emulate people in a band. I'm like, I don't mind going to concerts. I wouldn't even mind meeting some of them, but whatever, I mean, it's not, they're not my heroes. You're now working on Dragon Rampant's army. What scale? Probably 28, right? If Dragon Rampant is like Lion Rampant, it's a good game. And it's generic enough that you could put special rules in there and not skew the game. Meaning, if you were going to add like elements to DBA, right? It has a compounding effect. One thing affects something else, affects something else, affects something else. It's because it's abstract. The Rampant series are definitely less abstract, so they're like easy to kind of like at a glance tell whether or not you're going to make a change and it's going to fuck everything else up or not. Cochise were named for the county named after the Apache. Never heard of them. Never heard of them. Never heard of them. I don't know shit about Indian armies. Native American armies. First Peoples. That's the term I like. First Peoples. They were the first ones here. Or maybe not those guys in particular, but see, my people are second peoples. We were the second people here. We're the ones who got drunk on that red wine and let all those pigs run loose. That's why you have wild hogs everywhere. And the third peoples would be the ones that come over on boats now. Let's see, where can we mount this thing that makes sense? Ooh, that fits flush. It's going right there. It's going right there. Beautiful. See, this is starting to look a little bit, as I like to say, it's starting to look like ass. And a lot of it is because you got all these different colors of things. As soon as you prime all this, and then we got the body color and we have black. And then you start adding the details, it'll start looking better. Because initially I'd be like, oh, this just looks like trash. Now, why are these pipes? There we go. There we go. Wasn't popped all the way in. Okay, so that's going to sit like so. Got it. Cochise County. Sounds French. Well, the French may have named him, and that's why they have a French name. You like being around people, only nature, and the outdoors 57 degrees in northern Michigan. Unless you include Disney on Ice, I've never been to a concert, ever. Mormons are against harming the body. Sports causes injury. Interesting. I did not know that. Gaslands AutoZone. Yeah, I've thought about changing the name of my channel, but I don't think I will. Even though I'm not painting any quote-unquote figures right now. But remove this because painting this is going to be a hell of a lot quicker. It's not that I'm in a hurry. It's just like, if this takes longer, then it means the next one takes longer. You know, and I've got 400 of these things to do. And I don't know that I'll paint 400 of them, but I'm certainly going to paint another 100 of them. I mean, I've done, well, I'm 5 shy of doing 100 vehicles since September. A very peasantly human army and some halflings. I've never liked halflings. Sorry. I'd say nothing against halflings, but they're not real. Like, what are they going to do? Sue me? Yeah, I played Hero Quest at the last convention I went to. Basically the entire convention. There was nothing else I wanted to play. It's like, pick your character. And I immediately went for a human knight. That's what I want to play. You know? I don't want to be like, I want to play a... There's this other guy that came in and he wanted to play dwarves. Well, I like playing dwarves because I have a beard and I want my character to have a beard. Without missing a beat, he said, well, I like playing guys that, can grow a beard but then shave it. I always want to play human knight. I'm proud of being a human. Thank goodness I'm human. What else would you want to be? Is Gaslands considered a race? Should cars have numbers? So here's the thing about Gaslands. There's lots of ways to play. Almost everybody, the most popular way to play is Death Race. But it doesn't always have to be a race. My cars don't always have numbers, but they all have names. They're all named. So, which is funny because I didn't realize that people name their own cars. In other words, my car in the garage, I think people normally have names. I've never considered that. Maybe if it had a personality or weapons on it, sure. But my Subaru does not have a name. Never had. Neither did the car before that, but all these have names. Now, whether it's the name of the driver or the name of the car, that's up to you to decide. But I do have identifiers. A lot of people build teams all on a color. So they'll do like a team and say they're doing like the Warden team and they're all like orange. I see no point in paying 6 or 7 vehicles all the fucking same. I want them all to be different, and I'll group them together by Japanese cars, or or British vehicles, or construction vehicles, or emergency vehicles, or cars that are pink, girly cars. All my female drivers will have a pink car. Sorry, there's some people that have a pink car that aren't female. That's different. But I think all my female drivers have, have that kind of stuff. So, do they all have numbers? No, but if they have them, I leave them on there. And I'm not opposed to painting numbers on things, but, some people would strip this, but I'm like, look, there's some cool, striping and shit that I wouldn't have done, and it's there. And, it's more trouble to remove it than just roll with it, Decent Miniatures Company War Games Atlantic. Oh, yeah. They made a set of conquistadors that I just needed to, go walk away from them. But them being in 28mm is really easy to not be tempted. But that'd be my jam right there. You let me play conquistadors, I'll be a happy motherfucker. Oh, you got some fun names for me to say here. Let's see. I was stationed at Fort Huachuca as an interrogation instruction. Cochise County, Arizona. Tombstone is Cochise County as well. Here it's hot down. It's probably dusty as hell. Most of your Dragon Rampant's armies are from War Games Atlantic. I didn't realize that Pontiac was an Indian name, native name, First People's name. I tried watching with my daughter. I'd seen it before. What's that Indian movie? Gunga Din? No, not that kind of Indian. Not Dances with Wolves. What's the one with the one that's in the French Indian War? Last of the Mohicans. It did not age well. Like it just, and the way it was filmed, I'm not saying it's a trashy movie. I'm just saying it didn't age well. It didn't captivate my daughter's attention. I used to know a guy who claimed he was an extra in that movie. He claimed, he's like, yeah, I'm not one guy that Magua puts an axe through his head. You know, that one scene where he basically, like, brings him into the ambush and... Surprise! What other movie has that? It's the one with that Roman movie, Centurion. Doesn't it happen in Centurion? Yeah, with the girl with the tongue cut out. Changes sides on him right there. You've been drooling over those conquistadors. I would love to do that shit. The problem is, man, you got to paint a lot of Aztecs. You got to paint a lot of Aztecs. I mean, I guess you could do Incas, but why do Incas if you can do Aztecs? There's an audiobook that I listened to that was on that. And this American guy with very poor pronunciation skills just butchered everything. He butchered all the Spanish names. He butchered all the native names. The native names I don't think are difficult to say. But this guy was just... It was a great story. It was a great book, but the guy that narrated it was not great. You're supposed to be part Cherokee like most white people. I know, if you ask somebody in the South, they'll tell you something like they're half Scots-Irish, half English, and like 1/16 Cherokee. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm not part Cherokee. I put money that I'm not. Yeah, we didn't come over here at that time. My direct descendants didn't. You were a consultant in the Mel Gibson movie The Patriot. I sincerely apologize for that. Well, you didn't write the fucking movie, you know. I've only seen The Patriot once, but is it more? I feel like it was more unrealistic than Braveheart. Although it may not be. It may not be. Braveheart is way out there. I mean, Braveheart's worse. Braveheart's worse because they're wearing shit that they didn't wear. Plus, it's a skewed story. It's got all kinds of wrong shit to it. There's a lot worse movies than The Patriot. You know, the funny thing is when you talk about, there's always something that gets floated around the internet about most dislikable, most despicable characters, and the character that gets played in that movie by Jason Isaacs is always top of the list. And I don't remember him being that bad, but then I've only seen the movie one time. And The Patriot might be a really bad movie. I don't remember. But it's got to be better than a movie of that period with Al Pacino in it. Now, I haven't seen that movie, but I've had, Al Pacino can do one thing. That's a guy from fucking New York. And to my knowledge, that's not very conducive to being in the Revolutionary War. If people from New York at Revolutionary War didn't talk like that. You liked it, not sure how historically accurate. About the same and being inauthentic? Well, I think there's a certain amount of responsibility in making historical movies authentic. And the reason why is because most people hate history. I'm not one of them, okay? But most people hate history. So if they go watch something like that, that might be the only thing they understand about the Revolutionary War. And to show something that is just fucked up is a disservice. Like, people like to rip on Pearl Harbor. Now, Pearl Harbor is just not the movie that everybody wanted to see. But how bad could it be? It's got Kate Beckinsale in it. I mean, it can't be that fucking bad. But I remember watching that in the movie theaters, and the special effects in Battle of Britain, I remember being really good. I just don't like when it's like, okay, we need to line up some ships. Well, we don't have ships of the right period. I just use whatever. I'm like, no. That's an Oliver Hazard Perry class frigate. What the hell's going on here? I'm like, I can't unsee shit like that. Yeah, some people, that's like the only thing they're going to see for the Revolutionary War. And it's going to be... How the hell were you an advisor? Everybody loved him. I like... Jason Isaacs is one of those guys that if he's in something, I want to see it. I don't know what it is about him. I just he's... And I'm not I don't want to meet him or anything like that. He just seems like a cool guy. I always like the stuff that he said. He reminds me of Christopher Plummer a lot. Maybe it's just his facial build or whatever. But I've never been a fan of Mel. I don't dislike him. I've just never been a fan of anything that he's been in. I did see Apocalypto again recently. Man, I remember seeing that in the movie theater with my brother and parents. You gotta remember, I got older parents. So for them to see Apocalypto, that's pretty, I don't know if they could make a movie like that again. That's graphic shit like that. But he's not in that movie. What the hell happened here? Is there a chip out on this thing? Or is there like a clear coat or something on it? This is just readers. Speaking of conquistadors, what was that movie that... There's so many conquistador movies, or conquistador type stuff that just sucks. And not sucks that it gets painted a certain light, just the casting on it's terrible. Remember 1492 with Depardieu? Like, there ain't a single Spanish fucking person on that crew. They got like multiple people. And it's like, man, you can't get somebody that's Spanish to play on there? I mean, I get it, but Columbus isn't Spanish, but... And then what was the other one? That one that I finally got around to seeing, that Aguirre one, and they got that Polish German guy in. That was a terrible movie. That's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. That attempted to be, we're not talking about something like Kentucky Fried Movie, which I haven't seen. I'm talking about something that's supposed to be semi-serious. Tor is great. My daughter watched it with me. We need a Japanese battleship. Oh, we'll fucking build one. I like that. I like that. They're building Nagato or something like that. Yeah, Tor was good. Especially considering the time period that it was done, 1970 or something like that? I never, speaking of Jason Isaacs, I never got a chance to finish that series he was in. I never saw the final episode. It was called like The Dig or Dig or something like that, where he plays like an archaeologist that gets called out to the Holy Land to try to solve this conspiracy type thing that. Well, I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but I never saw the last episode. It was being played on, I don't know, A&E or USA or something like that. And the reason I watched that because he was in it. But I hated Death of Stalin. But not because of him, because of everybody. The fact that they didn't do that, and they had their reasons for doing it, I don't give a shit what their reasons are. Everything, how that saying is, everything happens for a reason? Well, sometimes things happen for the wrong reason. And that's the example of the wrong reason. Like, nobody sounded Russian. Like, that is just like, that's a sin, You wrote a review on Tarleton's book. The staff looked me up. Mel was going to play Francis Marion. I suggested other generals from the Southern campaign. Mel's character is a mix-up of all of them. Okay. That the movie that one guy is in it that plays the adjutant to the British? One guy used to do that show, whatever that guy's name, Edward, whatever his name is. They used to have that show on the History Channel of Winning with Roman Weapons. And there was only like 4 episodes of that series, but I really liked that series. Because it talked like, okay, well, how do you do? And it talks about like the tactics and gets these, people off the street or whatever and suits them up in Roman armor and they march around. And it's kind of instructional from a micro level, I thought it was interesting. Whatever that guy's name, Edward something or other. That bald-headed British dude. I think he's an Edward. Yeah, that's the problem with the movies. Is movie people just want to make a buck. We want, to be entertaining and history's perfect. Like, why change it? Well, we want the story to play out like this. Well, pick a different period. And actually show it the best we know, how it is. Not like, well, we need to change it so that it reflects. Well, then do a different story. You're doing everybody a disservice. Unless you're doing something so micro level that it's plausible. If you're make believing if you do a make believe colonial character that ends up being not a commander of anything, and so that could have happened. Movies about Romans bug me. They always put them in segmentata. Well, that's the least worst. Well, sometimes they do have segmentata. But yeah, only for a specific period. Yeah. Lorica segmentata. I'm not a fan of the Romans in segmentata myself. They don't fight anybody cool during that period. I like the Republican Romans. The ones before, heck, even before Sulla. They wore the right uniforms in Rome. They didn't have segmentata in Rome. The thing that sucks about the Romans is other people's that they thought's writings usually don't survive. So you're looking at everything that they did from their own viewpoint, which is a problem. Let me get some more tea. Lorica segmentata. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Roman Empire, per se. I'm not really a Roman fan. They just... I didn't play any games with the Romans until I played DBA in 2004. Never had. Nope. War games with Romans? What the hell is that about? Nobody I knew played it. I was like an exclusive World War II guy. Alan Alda made a film, Sweet Liberty, before The Patriot, which actually predicted the production of the film. Michael Caine plays a Jason Isaac role. Oh no. Michael Caine plays a bad guy? That's never happened. Well, I've never seen a movie where Michael Caine's a bad guy. Ever. Not saying he's not out there. I haven't seen him in a bad role. He's so fucking likable, man. Yeah, I don't like Roman movies or the Roman Empire because you get some guy that's like really deviant in charge. And I'm not talking like he's a warlord and he likes to murder people. That's normal, right? Because, look, you got to like bash people's freaking head in and it's like you're basically a warmonger. I'm talking about, sleeps with his sister or worse kind of characters. The emperors just fucking suck. They're not warriors, with the exception of very few. And those very few that were, they don't make movies about them. They don't make a movie about Trajan. They make a movie about, Caligula. If you're a warrior, you're expected to be freaking vicious. But just to be like, a deviant, and then everybody looks the other way. Not a fan. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of that stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff that could be really interesting if they did it correctly. However, you run the danger of them making a movie, either changing the story or spending too much time on stuff that isn't important and not enough time on stuff that is. Michael Caine plays the role of the actor playing the bad guy. He's a comedic womanizer that everyone likes except for Alan Alda. Yeah, I guess you could be a bad guy that everybody likes. Or at least think that you're a cool character. Like if you're watching Game of Thrones, right? Old Man Lannister. Old Man Lannister's a cool character. Is he a good guy? No. But he's kind of cool, So I had to throw that one out there. Not that I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, but everybody's seen that. I guess. Should make a movie about Alcibiades. Alcibiades. Fucking dickhead. It's funny because one of the things I was talking about the other day with some of my people that frequent on here is about the di- the Diadochi, Alexander's successors. And I remember super complicated who's on first kind of thing. And the kings and generals at the time, and this was, I don't know, 8 years ago or something like that. Whenever I did the videos, maybe it was more like 6. To get everybody straight, they had a series on them that was pretty detailed because it moved their counters around and shit like that. And I think yesterday morning, this morning, I went and looked and see what was on there, and there was all kinds of other videos on since then in the last 6 or 7 years or whatever on that. So I may have to take a look at that again. Don't think I've ever seen a good accurate movie about Romans. Yeah, probably not. There's ones that I've found enjoyable, but I don't know how realistic they are. I mean, I thought Centurion was a good movie for a movie. I thought the first Gladiator was a good movie for a movie. Rome was pretty good. I don't agree necessarily with some of the casting that they did, but they didn't ask me. Ben Hur, impossible to find that. Impossible to find that to show my daughter. The original one. Impossible to find it. I don't know why. And that's one of the movies I saw as a kid. Because it was on TBS all the time. That's a good movie. Or at least last time I saw it, I thought it was a good movie. Let's put it in context. Masala. I walked up to somebody the other day. Well, it's actually not the other day. It was several years ago. And they had a truck that had a bunch of spikes. Like they had like the covers on the hub. Just to be cute, they had these spikes on there. I was like, I'm going to call you Masala. And they didn't understand. They'd never seen the movie. I'm like, never mind. Never mind, you lost soul. That's actually probably the best movie that I've seen Charlton Heston in, too. And I haven't seen him in a ton of movies, but he's the best in that role than any other roles that I saw him in, I thought. And that's just a time period. It's like, okay, well, we need to have 30,000 people in this battle. Well, fucking hire him. Okay. All you people in the village, come here. We'll dress your ass up. Or we need Roman boats. Fucking build them. You know? I like that shit. You know? The modeler in me appreciates that. Is that impractical? Oh, hell yeah. But that's just how you did things. It's in color. Another win. They've never done a movie about Carthage and Rome, right? I don't think they have. I mean, we're not talking about Mussolini's thing, right? Because didn't Mussolini did like this one where they supposedly killed real elephants and stuff like that? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about another movie with Hannibal and Rome, which is probably good that they didn't do it because they just fuck it all up. Because that's just like that'd be a great movie. I mean, there's so many things that happen in real life that would just be awesome freaking movies. Like when they made Kingdom of Heaven, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And then they picked what they picked, and I'm like, you guys are idiots. You know, you guys are just total idiots, you Hollywood jokers. You want to make a movie about the Crusades? Make the freaking First Crusade. The First Crusade is like fucking epic. It's, you know, you basically could do everything from rounding up everybody to going through Germany and like beating up on people that aren't even involved in it, you know, and then, you know, rounding up, then not being able to get across on ships, then getting over there, you know, and having to kiss the emperor, the Byzantines emperor's ass, and then renege on him, and then, you know, it's just like, it's just unbelievable, you know. It's like, do the First Crusade. The First Crusade is like incredible. I'm not saying some of the other Crusades weren't interesting, not compared to the First Crusade. Movies about Jesus Romans should be in chainmail. Well, this is not a slight on you, but sometimes you can know too much about a subject to enjoy it. I feel that way about World War II. You know, I'm like dissecting shit, you know. Even some of the best World War II stuff that I've seen, which still, I think, well, you know, Band of Brothers is good. Band of Brothers is good, but everybody would throw that one up there. That series is on, I think it's on Amazon still, called Generation War. Charlton Heston and El Cid sucks. I'm sorry, it just sucks. You know, we can't get one of my people to be on there. The heraldry's all fucked up. They wear the wrong armor for it. It isn't horribly bad, but it's like there isn't a Spanish person in the whole fucking movie. Not a single one. Bastards. Sinvergüenza. Sinvergüenza means someone without shame. Shameless. That's a very hard movie to find also. I watched it before I built my feudal Spanish army, and I'm like, what the fuck? Hard movie to find. Okay, now when we put all this together, it ought to look better than before. So the worst thing with Charlton Heston, or maybe it works because it's different, is The Warlord, where he plays the bad guy. Now I saw it a long time ago, before I did ancient stuff or medieval things. So, but at least it gets bonus points for at least showing him in a role you don't expect him to be in. Robert Guiscard. If they made a movie about Robert Guiscard, that would be a great movie. I mean, if they did it right. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting characters. What the heck is happening here? There you go. Get your ass in there. You saw a funny documentary about Middle Ages, and they played fun by having a knight trample the historian advisor. Uh-oh. got loose. C'est sa faute. Well, I guess we'll try to fix it without... I'm not going to be able to, am I? No. Let's just try it again. You know, a movie about Longshanks. Longshanks is another really interesting character. All right, fire up here. Yeah, all that stuff's real interesting. And then you get something like American Civil War, and I'm like, oh, please, gag me with a spoon. Okay, I don't know that we can get that to fit exactly where it needs to be, the way that is. So let's go ahead and enlarge this. Because the whole reason it broke is got to pry it apart. I couldn't get it apart. Let's make sure this fits on here well, and then we'll glue this in place. Yeah, the hot glue gun just basically means you get immediate results. And you can keep on pushing forward. Doesn't have to be super strong, you got to be gentle with these things anyways. Although Fire Marshal Phil took a tumble the other day and nothing fell off of him. I don't know how the hell that happened. How does a flamethrower do damage in the game? So the biggest problem is it has a really short range. It has a range. It's got a temple. It's about this big and it's about that shape. And if you get a hit, it starts a fire which like burns every turn. Until you put it out. You got to put it out basically by stopping the vehicle. But I believe it does standard damage plus it does burn damage. The problem is it's 2 build slots. So on a car that uses up your 2 build slots, you can't have any other weapons that use build slots. That's a way that they have, I guess, of making sure you don't have a car that has a million things on it. I do it by not these, my standard vehicle price is 27 points. I got a 35 point category also, but 27 points basically is what this is. It means you get some perks and some weapons, but you can't do a million things with one vehicle. They have to be specialized to some degree or another, which is good because that means it's an excuse to build other vehicles that have different specializations. So I've been pretty happy with having 27 points as the standard number. I'd say 90% of my vehicles are probably 27 point vehicles. Maybe not 90, maybe 80%. Another 15 are probably 35 point vehicles. And then the remaining are either really small or big monsters, like 50 pointers or something like that. And that's just to kind of keep everything kind of flowing right. I like the idea of a vehicle that's not good for everything. Although there's not really any fear of anybody doing something like that. Like, I'm always going to use this car and that's it. Because I'm providing all the cars for the game. And They're either randomly assigned who gets to play them, or you can pick. It doesn't really matter. There is not heat in the game. Yeah, like heat, like BattleTech, there's not. But there is damage, and the flamethrower causes actual damage by itself, and it could be cumulative, by there actually being a fire on you. But you got to get really close to the other vehicle to do anything. So it's not a foregone conclusion that you're going to do anything with that. But it's relatively short range. It goes like, it's maybe 4 inches, and it's a template that's, well, hell, I'll grab it. Is it nah, it's not handy. Yeah, it's a template that's about this big. And when you fire from the front, for instance, it'll go, you can either put it on the corner here, all the way to this corner. So it's a flame that's about that big. But if you're out here, you don't get hit by it. So, unless it's turreted, but then you got to pay 3 times the value of it. And we just don't have that kind of points on this vehicle to have that. Now, I do have other vehicles that are turreted, but they're larger. Yeah, black. No, we need to put a little bit more of that black down there. No, there's no heat in the game. The game is pretty well designed in that it has a way of catching everybody up. It's really hard for somebody to like really run away with it. And that's basically playing Death Race, which is all I've ever played with it. It's probably all I'll ever play with it. There's different ways you could play Death Race or whatever, but it's a good balance of like actual driving and like combat. Like somebody that's very weak could get away with a race because they're just fast and just an excuse to build cars. You build any, you're thinking about it. It's cool as hell, man. And the coolest thing about it is everywhere you go is a hobby store. Right? Because they've got these cars everywhere. Whether it's a CVS or Walgreens or your grocery store or Walmart or Target or I guess fucking gas station could have them, Death Race 2000. I think I started watching that one and didn't make it very far. That the one with David Carradine in it? It's more like what's the one with the Cockney guy? Jason Statham. It's more like that one, Okay. We're going to grab our tin bits. Man, I'm really getting into this, and maybe I'll stay on here until this is done. I got a game that dropped today, and I did the download, and it's downloaded. So I didn't think the server was going to work, but who knows? It can wait. This is, I enjoy playing games, but I'm a lot happier doing this. Because at the end of the day, you have something to show for it. Dollar General, Dollar Tree, the list goes on, Now, the one thing that may or may not surprise you is, if you say something you like, you better grab it. Because stores are only going to have, if you're talking about like Hot Wheels, for instance, I want to hit this at an angle so I don't hit the glass. Could have just painted it before, but it's actually not that difficult to do this and not fuck it up. There's Hot Wheels, for instance, there's cars that they release in maybe 2026. And they're broken down into what they call cases. There's like a case A and a case B and a D and a C and a D and an E. And they're released consecutively. And they'll go through about O, P, or N or something like that. They don't go all the way to Z. So they get released about 2 a month or so. Or every 3 weeks or something like that. And just like real cars, they'll release the 2026s in like late 2025. And in that case, there'll be cars that'll be like, there's this model, and then this one, and that, and then the next case won't have those. So if you don't grab those while they're available, they become more difficult to get a hold of because you can't, you know, once they go through case A, then they start shipping the B's and the C's, and eventually, it's going to be hard to find something in a case A in like late 2026 because, that case A was like almost a year ago, and that stock in the store isn't available anymore. Now, if you plan on repainting them, no big deal, because sometimes the body style will be available later time. But if you want like this design, you got to go to a secondhand place. And then the sky's the limit. There's this one store about 50 miles from here, south, that I try to go to. They're not open on Sunday, but I try to go to if I'm passing through on Saturday. And, I go about every 3 months or so. And they had totally different stock than the last time I went through. And it just depends on what. And I told the owner that. I said, man, I was here 3 months ago or 2 months ago. It was 2 or 3 months ago. And I'm like, you got completely different stuff. It's like, oh, yeah, I go through that stuff all the time. People trade it in. They come in and they bring other ones. And, You have several of the Hot Wheel ID cars. Oh, those are what's the ID part of them do? I mean, they're expensive. You like track them online or something like that, right? Is it like an online game or? That'd be cool if they were like tied in with like Forza Horizon or something like that. So if you buy this model, you enter a code and then you get this vehicle in the Forza Horizon game. That would be really cool. That would be really cool. Even though Forza Horizon isn't super realistic, but it's something to do. All right. Let's get the darkest metallic one. Iron Warriors. I don't have any ideas. I got a couple color changers. I got a couple of them that are premium. But most of them are basically, I paid $1 for them. I'd prefer to pay $1 for them. But I do have, like my personal car, the only one I could find, I paid $10 for it. The mail truck. Oh, we don't want that. That's distracting. The mail truck, I paid $10 for it. But most of them are $1 or less, or they were given to me. Microchip for play. Okay, so what game do you play them in? That's kind of cool, man. I mean, what's the game that they're able you can play them in? Snapdragon. If you get paint where you don't want it, little small brush and hand sanitizer will take it right off. Assuming you're using acrylic. And why wouldn't you? It's not 1982 anymore. There can't be that many. There can't be that many IDs, can they? It's a Hot Wheels app. Okay, so it's probably not for like Xbox or something like that. Probably just like on your phone or something. You have seen 3D Bot Maker's YouTube channel, right? That's some amazing shit. Again, it's something totally different than Gaslands. The thing that would annoy me about that is, first of all, your cars could get damaged. And the second thing that would annoy me is that what the vehicle looks like has no determination or corresponding to how it performs. So, I don't like that. You know, I don't want a vehicle that looks clunky to like win a race. You know, like it's different to win a Gaslands race because there's combat involved. So you can be some lumbering Hulk, but you've got like lots of weapons. That's different. But just a straight gravity race, you know. Although that is the best thing out on there on YouTube. If somebody said, hey, what's the best thing on YouTube? I'm not going to recommend what I do. I'm going to recommend that guy. That's a shitload of work. Damn you and your Games Workshop shitty closing devices on a paint cup. Just going to kind of do an overbrushing, kind of a wet dry brush on there. Engine's going to get the same treatment also. At least initially. The one thing I hate about racing is drag racing. I think drag racing is stupid. You know, it's just why even put wheels on them? Just put them on rails. Not a fan of that. We'll probably end up finishing this up in the morning. I think by the time I get to work, we should be able to have this thing finished. We'll probably change the color of this flamethrower at some point, enhance it in some way or the other. But we'll at least give it a base color of this. And I'm going to do the black lining on here, and then I'm going to call it a night. Oh shit, we got this back too. Well, this is going to be metallic, but not that stripe area in there. That stripe in area, there's going to be like light gray. Cars can be upgraded, and some courses will only run certain cars. I wonder what vehicles they... Yeah, and some of the Hot Wheels, the hardest vehicles to get, like Nissan Skylines, are impossible to get. I think I've got like 400 cars and I only have one of them. And it's not a very good paint job. It's like all like Miami Vice and like in a bad way. I like to meet appointments when you're in the morning. You have lab followed by therapy. I got to go to the dentist, which I also like to call my spa session, because I fall asleep when I go to the dentist for a cleaning. I don't have a fear of dentists. I go to the dentist, so I don't have a fear of dentists. I have good teeth, unlike my hearing. Huh? No, actually, I'm going to do black lining in the morning. We'll leave the black lining for in the morning. We'll stop here. And, how long did I stay on here? A lot longer than I thought I was going to. That's your guys' fault. So, no, it probably looks better like this, more accurate. Not going to be able to tell how good this looks until it's weathered. Because the weathering is such a big part of it. And it's so damn easy. But it's like night and day when you do it. All right, folks.